Rev up your engines!
You wonder which cars they're not making anymore? Well, there's a bunch of them, they're not making them anymore. In 2023, they've discontinued the Chevrolet Spark, not the greatest vehicle in the world, right? The Honda Insight, the Toyota Avalon also got cut out because everybody's turning into large SUVs, right? I mean, the government's trying to say we're all going to buy electric cars that get phenomenal fuel efficiency with electric motors, blah, blah, blah. But what are people buying? Large SUVs. Some kind of a contradiction there. And other cars that are discontinued are the Acura ILX, which of course is a sedan, the Buick Encore, a smaller SUV that never really caught fire. They're cutting a lot of the cars out. The Hyundai Accent, another sedan, they're not making those. Volkswagen Passat, which is also a sedan. They get rid of a lot of the sedans, you know? Seems that people want SUVs, and the thing is, now that they're making smaller SUVs, it's a choice. You can get small ones, you can get medium ones, you can get large ones, right? So, the smaller SUVs are kind of just like sedans, small sedans, but they got a little hatch in the back. What's in a name? It's just that the actual plain old sedans, they're not as convenient. You can't carry as much crap in them. And so people are opting for something that, you know, fits their needs more than a sedan does. So goodbye to a bunch of these sedans. You can't buy them anymore after 2023. I guess Tesla still doesn't fix the quality control problems, because check this out. Guy bought a Model Y, heard wind noise. He thought, maybe it's just because it's an electric car, I'm going to hear more noise. But look at this. Check this out. You can see the door right there. It's supposed to be flush, but it's sticking out because the door doesn't even sit against the body of the car. That's how poorly made they are. Can you imagine paying that kind of money for a car? And then you got a door that doesn't even close right. It's not just a quality control. Who's inspecting these things when they sell them? The door's kind of off. It's good enough. Who gives a crap? And this is a brand new Model Y. This is when the guy's been driving and something happened. It came out of the factory that way. And of course, the other side was completely flush. It wasn't sticking out. The one side wasn't built right. They don't even inspect the vehicles to see if they're made right. I mean, why are people paying money for these things and buying such rolling piles of crap? It just amazes me. It's a belief to them, so they believe these. Oh, well, we'll hope they'll make them better. I'm making a better future. No, you aren't. You're making a future where people sell expensive crap and fools buy them. I mean, perfect example. That kind of money for a car with a door sticking out, they didn't even check it when they build it. Just wait till these things are 4, 5, 6, 7 years old and they really start falling apart. Well, be careful what you buy and who you buy it from. In California, a dealer sold a guy a Toyota Supra that had no catalytic converter. Now in San Diego, a local car dealership convinced the customer to buy a Toyota GR Supra. It had no catalytic converter and a history of accident, but they didn't tell him about it. Now, in California, you cannot drive a car with no catalytic converter. So he's bought this car for $57,000 used, and he can't even drive it. Now, hilariously enough, if you looked around there, you can find new ones for $50. Why would you spend $57 for a used one? It's beyond me. He did road test it, and he liked it and went fast, but as soon as he left this dealership, the check engine light came on. He went to a local Toyota dealership to get it serviced. And they told him that the car didn't have a catalytic converter and had been an accident. It had numerous issues with the engine and the body. Of course, now the guy has to sue the other dealership because they did sell him a car without a catalytic converter, which is against the law anywhere, especially in California. He'll win. But I mean, you really want to go through all that headache, taking somebody to court and suing it because they sold you a car that wasn't right? Do research before you buy a used car, and especially get a guy like me to check out a used car before you buy it. It doesn't matter how old. I don't care if it's 6 months old. Something could have happened. Could have been wrecked. Things could have been stolen. In this case, maybe somebody stole the catalytic converter. It is California for money, and then they didn't put one back on. They just welded a pipe in place, right? So be careful what car you buy, where you buy it. Especially used, always have a mechanic like me check it out, right? Shanman 2000 says, I want to buy an old Tacoma. It's an 02 with 197,000 miles. 10 grand. I'm worried about buying a truck almost as old as I am with that kind of mileage. It's my first car buy. 197,000 miles is a lot of miles. I'll give you an example. A guy just yesterday brought me the same vehicle, a two-wheel drive pre-runner with a V6 engine. He paid 15 grand, but it only had 102,000 miles. And it was a phenomenal truck. checkbook. He got a great deal, right? But with 197,000 miles, there's no way I'd pay 10 grand. No, it's too much money. Now, it could be a decent vehicle for a lower price, but when you're getting a car that's got 200,000 miles on it, you don't pay that kind of money for it. They're worn, you know? You'd be foolish to pay that kind of money. Maybe if you're in California, okay, they go a lot higher, you're going to have to pay that price. That's just the way that it goes, but I personally would not. 200,000 miles is a lot of miles. It's a Toyota. Things will eventually wear out. But I mean, if you're in California, have a mechanic like me check it out. If he says it's in good shape, if you don't mind spending the 10 grand, it could still have a lot of lifespan on it. It's normal, rear-wheel drive, got a strong V6 engine, and it's a Toyota Tacoma. They can last a long time. Sammy Taylor says, my ABS light came on after I changed my front CV axle. I got a 16 Hyundai Santa Fe, has the ABS light after I changed the damaged CV axle. My mechanic says it's a sensor, so I changed it, but the problem's still there. Your mechanic just guessed. He doesn't know how to analyze things. He needs to actually analyze. When you change that axle, either you damage the sensor or the wiring, and you say you put a new sensor, didn't fix it. So, I hate to tell you this, but you probably got a bum CV axle. The sensor is on your axle hub, right? The CV axle fits in. It has what's called a tone ring on it. And that's what spins around, and the sensor measures it going on. I will bet you your CV axle does not have the tone ring, or it has the wrong tone ring on it, or whoever built the CV axle screwed up. And you're going to have to get one that's right, that has the right parts, because it measures that spinning around. Now, some of them have magnets built in. Instead of a bunch of different teeth, it'll have just a magnet that spins around, right? And in that case, yours wouldn't have the magnet on it. Otherwise, you're going to have to replace the CV axle with the correct one. This is the problem if you go to like a discount auto parts store and buy a cheapy rebuilt or remanufactured or even a brand new Chinese made CV axle. Chinese often forget to put the tone rings on, or they don't put the magnets on, and the car will drive fine, but your ABS system will trip and you won't be able to use your cruise control like you said. So unfortunately, you're going to have to change the axle again. Kiloid says, is a newer Volvo a good buy? I'm looking to buy 2018 Volvo XC from CarMax. It has 51,000 miles and it has had 3 previous owners. I liked it. What do you think? I think you should run away as fast as you can from that car. It's a 2018 Volvo. It's already had 3 owners. Every car I've ever seen in my life that's that young and has already had 3 different owners has had problems. Whether it was built wrong or more often it's been in a wreck, it was flooded or stolen, problems occurred, had a fire, and that's why people keep selling the vehicle on. Never, ever buy a car that's that new with only 50,000 miles and you'll be the 4th owner. There's always a reason that the other people got rid of the cars so soon. One, being the 2nd one, being the 3rd one, you're still kind of pushing it, but being the 4th owner of a car with 50,000 miles, I can just about guarantee you it's got some kind of problems, and that's the reason they're selling the thing on. And that's why it's at CarMax, and the individual isn't selling the car themselves to you because they don't want to sell somebody a problem car and you come at them with a baseball bat later on. So they take it to CarMax and unload it, right? Don't even think about buying that car. What do they say, mad dogs and Englishmen? Well, here is a mad Englishman. He set the world's record for a tandem motorcycle speed record. Now, this is a motorcycle that can hold 2 people, not a special racing one with a little fairing, or those crazy ones that look like rockets, but they call them motorcycles because they only have 2 wheels. Well, the guy by the name of Alan Milliard, he built that thing with one of those Viper V10 engines on 2 wheels, right? There it is, an insane motorcycle, right? V10 car engine in it. It has 500 horsepower running 1 wheel, so I'm sure it would be pretty fast. Well, he did set the record, which is 183.5 miles an hour for a tandem motorcycle. Imagine you got 2 people on a motorcycle. You're sitting on the back of this motorcycle. It's going 183 miles an hour. Boy, you wouldn't get me sitting. I might drive it, right? But I wouldn't be sitting on the back, trusting the guy in the front that he knows what he's doing, right? But he actually used the V10. Chrysler years ago made kind of a toy one. It had the V10, and it had kind of like a dual wheel in the front and back, and it just sat there. You could put it, didn't need a kickstand, just sat there because it had kind of like dual wheel in the front, dual wheel in the back. And from my knowledge, hardly anybody ever drove that thing anywhere. These are actual motorcycles that this guy built. It's got just 2 wheels, regular motorcycle wheels, and it looks kind of like a motorcycle, even though you're sitting on top of this giant V10 engine. Now, years ago, I drove one of those American versions of them, and they were called Boss Hosses, and they had Chevy V8 engines on them. And I drove one. I drove it a very short distance, got off, and told the guy, I'll never get on another of these again. One, it was in Texas, and they're big V8 engines, so not only are you sitting on top top of it, it's hot. But in front of that is a big radiator with a fan, and when it got hot, the fan blew hot air in front of you too, making you even hotter. Plus, the thing was totally uncontrollable. It weighed so much, and it only had 2 wheels. You turn the wheel, if it ever fell over, it would be curtains. In Houston, I mean, they had like 8 of them on the showroom floor, and 6 of them were consignments, meaning people had bought them, and now they want to sell them to somebody else. So, not the most popular vehicles in the world. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.